What's up? I'm Bee and welcome to my channel. Today I am wearing headphones that I typically do not wear because one, we are doing a reaction, and two, this reaction is to a Rach Talks episode, which by her own advertisement is just like chillin', hanging out with a friend. So I'm relaxed today. I'm leaned back and my mic doesn't really stretch that far. So I figured for audio quality and convenience of posture, we would use my work headphones. Now, before we get into this, I do need to apologize in advance. I have watched over 7 hours of Mike's Mike content in the past 24 hours. And so if you hear a stray bestie slip out of my mouth, that's why. But without any further ado, let's just get into this latest Rach Talks episode. I chose this one because I feel like we could use a little bit of a more lighthearted video on my channel after the last one I put out, and so let's just relax. Let's hang out with Rachel. Let's hear what she has to say, chat about life. You know the deal. Do you wipe off the top of your canned beverages? Because I do. Because one time when I was probably 11 or 12, I had a friend who said that her uncle worked at like a bottling and canning company basically for a major beverage distributor, and he and his co-workers would pee on top of the cans as they came by. Maybe she was lying, maybe she wasn't. I don't really think that wiping the top off is going to do much if that's the case, but it makes me feel better.
And the best vintage and previously owned pieces led me into a shop that I dig in Hawaii. And this was just on the rack. And I think that we can all agree that it was made for me. Are you dying?
No.
It's Jeffrey, guys. It literally says schnauzer. It's a picture of Jeffrey. Come on, buddy. Come on. What do you think? Do you like it? You smell a little funny. What'd you get into? What'd you get into? Why doesn't he have a shirt of my face, Jack? You're supposed to be the dog stylist. Can you believe? You just never know what the spirit guides and the spirit.
Yeah, we're not even like 30 seconds in, and this is a common thing that Rachel does, which is where she just like cracks up at the slightest of things. Like the smallest thing in the world, she makes it seem as if it is just the peak of comedy. And I feel like that's part of the reason that these Rach Talks bug me so much, because she's trying to make it like a comedy show. You know, I get it. It's produced. She has a crew on hand. There are scheduled topics that they're talking about. I don't have an issue with things being produced to feel like you're chilling, hanging out with a friend. But the reason I don't get the vibe that I'm just like chilling, hanging out with a friend is because of how just kind of high chaotic energy Rachel is. Like cracking up over a schnauzer t-shirt. It's cute. One time I was at Kohl's and I saw a hat that said, "Can I pet your dog?" And I was like, oh, that's so cute. I kind of want it. Didn't end up getting it, but I'm like, that's a cute thing. I'm not going to sit here and be like, "and in second I pet your dog." Isn't that the cutest thing you have ever heard? What a hat. Who even thought of that? Isn't that perfect for me? Because I love petting dogs. That would not feel very natural now, would it? Cute shirt. I'm glad she found it, but let's like keep it in check a little bit.
Dog guides are going to guide you to when you're on your hunt for vintage clothes. And honestly, I bought it, and like my favorite part of it so far is wearing it for y'all. So
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna be that person that's just rolling around like at some cool chic bar or restaurant or something. No, I can't hear while I'm there, but I am rocking this schnauzer t-shirt. So I'm just there. The guy was like, "Oh, you like dogs?" I'm like, no, it's literally my dog. My dog is on this thing. I actually have been finding, get out of the plant, bro. Jeffrey, that peace lily didn't do anything to you. I'm trying to bring that back from the brink. Oh, can you see the money tree? You see it there? Do you know what a money tree is? Well, yeah, Jack, it's that, obviously. But a money tree is supposed to, like, I think, bring you abundance or something. It's like good luck. And
Tell me you don't really have any true emotional investment in your manifestation spiritual journey without telling me that you don't have any real or true investment in your manifestation slash spiritual journey.
It was in a small pot. If you'll recall, if you could flash back to a previous episode, it was here. But I realized that the money tree, the leaves were the same, like the exact same width as the pot. And I was like, oh, wait, I wonder if that plant, I don't know how plants work, but perhaps it can't grow past the edges of the pot. And I looked it up and it's a thing. So it's been repotted. I was very nervous because it's trauma for plants to be repotted, no matter how hard you try and take care of them. And I was looking a little, but for the first time yesterday, I noticed a little sprout. So we're okay, I think, is the point. The money tree's thriving. I got a schnauzer t-shirt. Welcome to Rach Talk.
Hi. All that aside, I will say that's like a cute outfit. That's not anything that I could ever see myself wearing, but I could see somebody cool wearing that. And I guess that person today is Rachel.
Let's talk about introverts versus extroverts because clearly I'm an introvert. No, that's not true. I'm an extrovert. I'm the most extra of the extroverts. I love people. I love meeting people. I want to talk to you.
Because remember, Rachel is exceptional in everything she does. She's an exceptional wife. She's an exceptional mom. She talks about this in one of her books. So, of course, she has to be an exceptional extrovert. She can't just be like, I like people and chatting. I am the most extroverted of the extroverts. Whoa.
I want to hang out with you. Except there's one scenario I don't want to talk to you. I hate to even say this. I feel like people are going to be mean right now, and they're just going to be like, you're being mean. But there's only one scenario. Well, there's two. I thought of another one. The first has something to do with having like a little tiny bit of like a public persona, like having a little bit of a brand so people know who I am. You all would be shocked, and I mean shocked, at how many women will follow me into the bathroom and try and talk to me while I'm in, like, going in the stall or inside the stall. I already have a really weird thing with public restrooms. Like, I really don't.
I'm not shocked. I bet a bunch of people do that because sometimes people have trouble with boundaries.
I don't want anybody hearing me pee. And if I have to do anything else in the bathroom, I'll just go die because I'm not doing that in public. I want to talk to everybody. I want to give you hugs. I want to take pictures. I want to do whatever you need to do. But it is really hilarious. You would not even believe how many women will talk to me while I'm in the bathroom. Literally, I have had women knock on the stall. Rachel, I saw you go in there. I love your podcast, Rach. I love it. It has helped me so much. God bless you. I just wanted you to know. I'll wait for you out here. We'll get a picture when you're done. And I'm like, and I'm holding the pee in because the second someone talked to me, I had to like freeze midstream, work all the Kegel muscles to like hold the pee inside my body because I'm like, oh my God. So that's a time when I don't really want to talk to strangers.
I don't know that this tracks because didn't she tell a story when she was on stage at an Oprah event about how she like lost a tampon or forgot, not lost because you can't really lose it in that crevice, but forgot she was wearing a tampon for like days on end. And then just a few weeks ago, she posted a video where in the title, she made it sound like she peed her pants on a zip line. Rachel, where's the continuity? Like, I feel like you need to hire a continuity expert so you can remember the maybe exaggerations or little tall tales that you tell to the audience so that way you don't contradict yourself.
And my second time has nothing to do with being any kind of anything. It's just like a life rule. I don't want to talk to you on a plane. Nothing to do. I mean, you're a stranger. You don't know me from Adam. Or I just don't want to talk to you on a plane. And because here's the issue. If you talk to your seatmate on a plane and they're a talker, you're locked in. I can't tell you to stop talking. I will get off an 8-hour flight and I know everything about your family, your daughter's divorce. I heard about the therapy that you went through 3 years ago, that you're thinking about going back to school and getting your degree. I don't know how to tell people to stop. And I don't want to be rude, so I'm in it. I'm locked in. okay? So I can't even let you start. I can't even let you start a conversation because if you start, I feel compelled. We're in this now. We're in it together. I don't fly Southwest a lot, but one of the things I'm most terrified of with Southwest is that you don't have any control over where you sit. I will, if there is a person within 100-mile radius of...
Well, in Girl Stop Apologizing, Rachel talks about how she writes in her journal, I only fly first class. So, not quite sure why she would be on Southwest in the first place, because from what I know, Southwest does not have first class. If I'm remembering correctly, they don't even have that option. So not sure why she would be on a Southwest flight, where if you haven't flown Southwest, it's kind of like you get put in a boarding group depending on what time you check in at. So if your flight's at 6 a.m., like 24 hours before, they open up the check-in, and so the sooner you check in, the sooner you get to board the plane. You get to pick your seat sooner rather than later, and so it's kind of like a free-for-all based on your boarding group. Regardless of that, though, I feel like we all have our social things that we have issues with. Some people are definitely less assuming than others. I'm definitely a more passive person in social situations. However, I have been sat next to talkers on planes and in coffee shops and in many other situations. And she's going to get to a point with like headphones where she talks about how you just very obviously wear headphones. And that's one tactic. But another tactic is to just be polite, chat with the person for a few minutes, and, figure out like a good kind of lull in the conversation to be like, hey, well, it was really nice meeting you. I'm going to read my book now. Or I'm going to listen to my music now. Just communicate like an adult, because I'm sure that person doesn't want to annoy you. They just think you guys are chatting and having a good time. Just communicate.
A Southwest flight who likes to talk to strangers. There'll be 100 open seats on this plane. That girl's sitting. She's right here. I was flying back from Nashville, and this woman, bless her heart, I get it, because I'm on an aisle, you're in the center seat. If you're in the center seat, there's a lot, you're tucked in there, and I get it. Jack, she was touching my person, but my arm wasn't even on the armrest. It was I got a like 2x2 square right here, or whatever this is. I'm in it. I shouldn't feel you. I shouldn't feel you in my space. I don't want your skin to touch my skin. I don't know who you are. I only know
Fair
one
enough.
way to handle this, and that is very visibly to wear headphones. Now, ladies or men with long hair, if you're going to try and pull this off, you got to pull the hair back. Because if it's like this and they can't see that you're wearing headphones, you're locked in that situation too. Because I even try and make a big deal about it. They'll be like, chatty chat. And I'm like, I make a big deal about being like, oh, what? Oh, sorry, I was listening to music. And they're like, oh, no problem.
You don't want to be rude by telling the person who's talking to you that you no longer wish to engage in conversation, but you're okay being passive aggressive and being like, what? I was wearing headphones. What? It's just funny. But on a side note, whoever she hires to edit these, they do a good job. They do a good job with what they've got. That was funny when they put up the big clunky headphones and said, problem solved.
It's my life story. Or I'll be, I'm sorry, I was listening to a really incredible podcast. I don't want to, what did you need? Was there something? I sound like a jerk. I'm not a jerk. I will talk to, I love making friends. We're in line at the grocery store. Let's go. You see me at my kid's baseball tournament, happy to chat. You want to talk to me at the spot, like whatever. But I don't want to talk to you on a flight. How do you feel about that, Jack? Right. It's so...
He said absolutely no talking on a flight. I can't hear you up there, in case you did not catch it.
We already talked about this. I can't hear you. And the people also... Can we have a minute? Now I'm really going to go in. Now I'm really going to say something controversial. The people...
The caption said, comment below if you remember what we were supposed to be talking about. That's funny. That is funny.
People who have a very long discussion on flights. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, someone in front of you, let's say two business people, for example, and they want to talk about the mergers and acquisitions of the company or whatever for 4 hours. And the only way that you can do that is to raise your voice above the roar of the engine. And now I got to listen to you over Taylor Swift. I'm trying to listen to the Lover album, bro. I don't want to know about how Cheryl in accounting isn't living up to her last review. Do you know what I mean? Is it just me? Can you hear, when other people are having conversations, can you hear it? Or am I just, you know what my thing is?
Before she goes on, in my head, I'm like, that's not a problem I relate to because I can tune out outside noises like it is nobody's business. This I think is a product of living in a very loud house growing up, just 4 kids, lots of activity, lots of things going on. I can zone out like it's nobody's business. So that I've like literally never noticed that. I've never had that kind of problem unless somebody was like yelling where I'm like, "Oh, being kind of loud here." Other than that, though, if I'm doing my own thing, I am not hearing a word you are saying.
Maybe watch more movies or something on planes. I read books. This is my problem. I'm over here reading or I'm writing. And in both scenarios, I can't have music. So I got to listen to, you know, Matthew and Mark and Luke and John, you know, talk about whatever's going on. Remember when I got the shirt, though, Jack? Still over here. Still killing it.
No, I forgot.
Extroverts.
In the 9 minutes that this has been playing.
Okay, here's a question for the group. Comment below. Let me know. Are you an extrovert or are you an introvert? Or I think there are also like mixes of this. Because I'm an extrovert. I love people and I love being around people. But I do have to go refuel. Like I know people who are extroverted and they get all of the energy from the people. And I love being in it. But I do have to like go retreat and get my energy back and then sort of come out and try again. But I am an extrovert and I am in love with an introvert, like a very deep introvert. And it is hilarious. And when we were first dating, we're going to find the video and like maybe if we like put the name of the artist or whatever, we could share it. It's so funny. But it is a perfect cartoon of what it's like to be an extrovert and an introvert in a relationship. I'm curious, what it would be like to be, like, if you're, because you're an introvert, and then is your boyfriend an introvert? Okay, so how about you? You're an introvert. Is Sarah an introvert?
This isn't just a Rachel Hollis thing. I hate when people do this. When you talk to somebody who's off camera, I want to see who you're talking to. This feels weird. Like talking to people off camera who I can't see, who I don't know, feels like you're ignoring me, even though I know it's a video. It just like, I don't know, cut to a camera of them or like bring them over if you're going to talk to them. It gets me.
Okay, so you're both introverts. What's that like? You're just like chill. You don't leave the house. You don't talk to anybody. Yeah, I mean, that sounds glorious, honestly. So I'm an extrovert, but I'm a homebody. Like I would it's got to be something massive for me to want to leave home. And by massive, I mean there is a fajita restaurant here in Austin. La Piscina, which is at the top floor of the Proper Hotel in downtown Austin, Texas. You will crap your pants. Which is weird because you're at a restaurant. But, oh my word. I'll tell you what. Nobody cares. Doesn't matter. La Piscina is the restaurant where I know with every fiber of my being, emotional, mental, spiritual, I should stop eating. I've passed a point of no return. It's uncomfortable and I literally can't stop. Jack, they give you fajitas, like old school where it's like on fire or whatever, and there's all the delicious things. I'm making myself so hungry right now. Ooh. On that platter is a tiny bowl of garlic butter. Like we have, what is this, Pizza Hut? What are you talking about? No, because you're going to make a taco and then you're going to dip it. Oh, it's so stupid, you guys. It is so stupid. It is, Why did I get on this topic? Where did
I have a few thoughts here. First of all, why should you stop eating it? because you literally crap your pants? Like, do you get sick every time you eat it? I'm so confused. Or do you not have like the willpower to stop when you get full and so you should stop eating it? Or you're like, this doesn't fit in with my eating plan. I should stop going to this restaurant. Because, you know, if that's what it is, I vaguely remember a certain Pam shaming that took place in the office lunchroom that many people were upset about. Rachel has this hypothetical Pam who's always on a diet. The diet starts Monday, and Rachel talks about how you don't trust Pam and you don't respect Pam because she never keeps promises to herself and she has no self-control. So, Rachel, interesting. And yeah, people can change. Like, people can change and evolve over time, but it's just always interesting to me when I see Rachel make a change and just like never address how this is a new belief or a new opinion or a new outlook that she has on something, and like she'll just pretend like that old iteration of her belief never even existed.
How did I? This is also what is very hard for Boo. Not just that I'm extroverted. We've talked about this. I never stop talking.
It's a nightmare.
He's been out of town for like...
Man, not just with Rachel. Some of the people I love the most in my life are talkers, and I have to get to a point where I'm like, hey, we're doing a lot here. I'm having a little bit of overload. I'm either gonna tune out and you can keep going, or we can kind of switch up the pace of this conversation.
10 days, and he comes back today. You better get some earplugs. You better get ready, because I have not. I mean, let's go. We've done FaceTime. That's not enough. I got all kinds of ideas, questions, theories. You know, I want you to tell me I'm pretty to my face without a screen involved. Like, have you seen my schnauzer shirt? Come on, bro. We're doing something here. Also, I think we're going to go get fajitas on date night tomorrow, so that's why it's in my brain. Also, what I want to do, how many times do I say also in the show? Do you edit out a lot of alsos? Do you edit out a lot of so, at least I know. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. Strengths. Gorgeous.
That's funny. I can't judge her for that because the amount of times I say "and so" when filming a video is almost criminal.
Funny. Good writer. Good mom. Humble. Weaknesses. It was cold water, but, you know, I've stopped with that, so that's good. Sort of on the subject, but also, like, kind of on a more serious note, I saw this quote the other day from Mindy Kaling. What, you're a fan of Mindy Kaling? I saw this quote from Mindy Kaling the other day where she was talking about, like, how that there's people who don't like her because they say that she's full of herself.
It says, people's reaction to me is sometimes, ugh, I just don't like her. I hate how she thinks she's so great. But it's not that I think I'm so great, I just don't hate myself. I do idiotic things all of the time, and I say crazy stuff I regret, but I don't let everything traumatize me. And the scary thing I've noticed is that some people really feel uncomfortable around women who don't hate themselves, so that's why you need to be a little bit brave. Fair enough.
And she's like, I'm not full of myself. I just don't hate myself. And I think that it's really hard for people to look at women who love themselves and are confident in themselves and not decide that they dislike them. Totally miss you. Put the actual real quote. Please find it. But I thought it's such a good quote because I think that that's how we're mostly taught to be, is we're taught to find fault with ourselves. We're taught, like, our body's this, our body's that, our face is this, we're all of these things, we're not smart enough, we're not strong enough, whatever, and we just keep perpetuating the cycle, and then we give that to every new generation of young women, and they're taught that to be confident is to be wrong, and I'm being silly about saying, like, here are my strengths, and I have no weaknesses. Obviously, I have many. But I've been working on that a lot in the last 6 months of just like love and accept myself as I am, not as an affirmation or something cheesy, but like the amount of times I swear, my hand to the heavens, I looked in the mirror today and I was like, girl, your butt, okay, but your butt is looking good. Like, I see the yoga in that butt. I see, good for you. Congratulations with your butt. Now my butt, I got junk in the trunk. I got an ass that won't quit. I got when I was in high school, I used to get teased about how big my butt was, and I was so embarrassed by it. And I'm sort of like a pear shade. If I got more going on down here than up here, even with the doctor's help. But I do think that that's a really powerful thing to ask yourself, especially with so many women and young girls watching this show, is, are you saying more things about yourself that are negative, or are you saying more things about yourself that are positive? Because my gut is that you're probably thinking a lot of things about you, and maybe even sometimes audibly saying things about yourself that are discouraging. And if that worked, if you could shame yourself into the place that you idealize as better, it would have worked by now. It's not possible to hate yourself into something better. So what if we tried radically loving ourselves? What if we tried just accepting who we are? Not only that, but just falling in love with ourselves right now as we are, with this exact body, with these age spots, with these thighs, with this cellulite, with whatever you're working with, mini schnauzer and all. Right, Jeff?
Okay. First and foremost, the words that are coming out of her mouth. Love. I don't know if I'm kind of a minority in this, but the amount of attention I've paid to like how my body looks is very minimal, and it's always been that way. It's just like, well, this is what my body is, and I kind of prefer to focus on feeling better, and maybe that has like feeling good in my body, and maybe that has something to do with my chronic illness, which kind of threw me out of whack and made it so I couldn't control my body for many years until I figured out what it was, and I figured out how to work with it and like get to a place where I did feel better because I had it kind of wrangled and under control. So maybe that's given me a bit of a different perspective on like body image. But with things like weight, or am I a pear shape? Am I an apple shape? Am I an hourglass shape? I don't really think that we should focus on those. And with Rachel being like, what if we loved it exactly as it was? So I don't know if this makes sense, but for me, I abstain from being like, I love this thing about my body, because then it makes me focus on my body, which is the least important and least interesting thing about me. I think if we have certain things we want to do and things that'll make us feel more confident, you know, I bleach my hair, I've been trying out fake eyelashes, I have like a facial hair trimmer so I can keep my eyebrows nice, because I like to do that. I like to have my eyebrows look a certain way. I'm liking playing with the blonde in my hair. You know, I don't think it's wrong to do certain things that make us feel more confident, but when we sit here and be like, I love my body, I'm finding all these things about my body that I love, that just puts more focus on your body, which again is like the least interesting thing about you. And again, maybe I'm in the minority on this. Maybe what Rachel's saying is really valuable to you or to somebody else, and it hits them in the right spot where they're like, wow, I really needed that today. But for me, I'm just like, even if you're focusing on something that you love about your body, you're still putting so much attention on how your body looks instead of how your body feels and how it functions, which to me, I feel like it's more important to focus on how your body feels and how it functions as opposed to how it looks in a mirror or in a picture. Look at how red my ear is. Oh wait, you probably can't hear me when I say that. Look how red my ear is. Oh my gosh. I wear these maybe like an hour a day. Sporadically too, because I have them on my lap and I throw them on whenever somebody calls my soft phone. But anyway, back to Rachel.
Just work on loving yourself. I've told this story before, but when I was really struggling with body issues after the birth of one of my children, I challenged myself that every single time I looked in the mirror, I would find something to compliment. And the very first time, honestly, I hated myself. I hated my body. I was so hard on myself and so mean to myself. And I stood in the mirror until I found one thing, and the one thing I could compliment was my eyes. And then slowly over time, I could find more and more things to love. We just put contingencies on it, right? We're like, well, if I had a flat stomach, or if I had six-pack abs, or if I had arms that look like this, then I would be happy. Then I would have worth. Then I would love myself. But the truth is, if you don't love yourself as you are today, it doesn't matter what changes you make. There's always going to be something that you perceive as wrong. So let's practice that together.
Maybe this is a new iteration of Rachel where she realizes all of the time she spent in the past focusing on exactly how her body looked. That kind of stuff wasn't fulfilling. That kind of stuff didn't really make her any happier, like being so almost obsessively, because here's the thing, I had to scroll all the way back to 2018 to find this post that was in my mind the first time I heard her say that. And the number of posts that were about her running, working out, being fit, like everybody has their passion, I get that, but there were so many posts related to that where it felt like it wasn't just her saying, man, like I love running and I just always feel so great when I do it. Here's a cute picture of me on my run. It was almost meant to make people who weren't doing as much work physically as Rachel feel bad. That was the vibes that I was getting from those posts. But she has this post back from 2018, I'll put it up here, where there's a picture of her and Dave from 2008, and then 10 years later. And kind of the gist of the post, from what I feel like, is fat bad, skinny good. I'll just read the caption to you. It says, Dave and I keep seeing all the celebrities doing the hashtag 10-year challenge, and we giggle at their quote-unquote transformation because they look just as beautiful and dreamy then as they do now. How's this for a 10-year glow-up? Back in 2008, we lived off fast food and never worked out unless you count this single round of croquet. This was back when we watched 5+ hours of TV a day, and my dream of becoming an author was just that, a dream. The journey to get healthy took years. The journey to acquire the tools to pursue the dreams of my heart took years. The journey to a thriving marriage took years. Remember, anything worth having takes time. So while in that post, she doesn't explicitly say fat bad, skinny good, it's about how they looked before, their 10-year glow up, their 10-year transformation. It's not showing, like, what is the point of that? The point is to say, look at me in this body. This was a bad body, and it took me 10 years to get where I am now, which is a better body. Regardless of that, I think there is value in having a conversation about how you feel in your body, because that's what I like to focus on in terms of like what I eat and how much I move my body and all of that. But this isn't about me. In her caption, it's like, we ate fast food and watched 5 hours of TV every day. Okay, yeah, those things aren't going to be good for you. Those things aren't going to make you feel good. But she doesn't talk about how she felt. She just focuses purely on the aesthetics of it, which is the thing that bothers me.
And I have no idea how I got there from fajitas, but that's how my brain works.
But okay, not to be mean. Like, if you need to do Rachel's thing where you just look in the mirror and say one positive thing about yourself, say one positive thing that you like about your body, and that's what works for you, do it. I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum if that's what makes you feel good. But maybe instead of purely focusing on the body, you could look in the mirror and appreciate yourself and just be like, wow, I'm a really motivated person, or I'm really hardworking, or I'm really kind, I'm really thoughtful. I stand up for what I believe in. You could say positive things about yourself that aren't necessarily related to your skin husk.
So if you haven't ever heard me talk about it before, I have a hotline. It was created for my podcast so listeners could call in and ask me questions or tell me something great that's going on in their lives. And I thought it would be fun to start to incorporate some of those questions into Rach Talk.
Fun.
So we're going to listen to another voice note from y'all. But if you have a question that you want me to answer here on the show, or maybe turn an entire podcast episode out because of it, you're going to call this number right here, which I don't remember, but Jack will edit it later, and like, you're going to call this number, you're going to leave us a voice memo. But Nicole, will you tell us what's the question we got today?
Hi, my name is Miranda, and I listen to your podcast all the time, and so I wanted to ask a question that me and a friend kind of have been struggling with. I have one friend that I've known my entire life, and we want to know how to make other friends, like in this very technological type of age that we're in, and COVID and, everything like that. It's hard to connect with people, and especially being a mom and having to deal with tiny humans. but we just kind of want to know, what are some ways that you can make friendships and act like genuine connections, not just, meeting people, but actually making genuine connections when it seems so hard lately?
Yeah, really good question, Miranda. Thank you for calling in, because you're not the only person that's wondering this. We are getting so many questions right now, customer service and on the hotline, of people just like you who are asking questions about friendship. So I feel like this is something we're really craving. We're craving that connection after so many years of not always having the ability to be around other people. So just a few thoughts that I have on this. The first thing I would say is, you asked, how do I make a genuine connection? Not just meeting people, but have sort of a genuine relationship form. And I think it's worth saying that you don't really know if it's a genuine relationship that's going to form until you've hung out a few times. So I don't know that in this instance, it's sort of like, oh, that first encounter will tell you whether or not this is going to be a lifelong friend or someone that you have a deeper relationship with. I think that you need a few hangout sessions to know if that's true. So I don't really believe in the idea of kind of just scattershot, right? Like just asking everybody, or like all the moms at the school drop off or whatever. You're just going to start asking 10 people and hope that one of them turns out to be your long lost best friend. Jeffrey, you're not my long lost best friend. I'm trying to help.
Me?
Can you try and help? That's what I thought. Anyway, Miranda, I'm sorry about my schnauzer. The second thing
Called
I
it.
would say,
Oh.
this is a really big one that most people miss. Don't think that your close, dear friends are going to be people who look, act, think, vote, are the same age as you. I remember I was hanging out with some friends that are around my age, and I was telling them that I had just been on a trip with a friend who's in her late 50s. And one of my guy friends was like, you have like not your aunt, you have a friend, like an actual friend that you go on vacation with that's in her late 50s. And I was like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Like, assuming that your friend needs to be the same age as you, or needs to do the same job, or even needs to be a parent like you're a parent. Like, I think that that's why we miss out on so many opportunities, is because we're looking for someone who's like us instead of looking for commonality. So most of the friendships I have are people that I have met because we had something in common. So whether it's, you're doing mommy and me yoga because you're into yoga and you have kids, and then you meet other people there, or you have a hobby that you're really into, or there's something that you want to pursue. Like, I'm trying to do songwriting, or when I was becoming an author, I met so many aspiring writers that became friends of mine because we had something in common. And even if we didn't have the same lives, in fact, many of them have very different lives than I do, we are connected by this one thing that we can go deep on, which is going to be my third piece of advice to you. And this is maybe the most...
Okay, before she gets to that, because I know what she's going to say and I have a separate comment on it. This so far, I feel like that's fine advice. I was thinking, would I have anything to say to this person? Would I have any valuable pieces of advice? And honestly, no. The people that I am absolutely closest to, I am related to, and then outside of that, I have one best friend. So that's it. Like, that's my friendship group in a nutshell. I got nothing to add to the conversation.
It's important. In a world where it's all very superficial, show up authentically and go deep fast. So if I could meet you for the first time and it'll be like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, you know what? I'm in a really hard season right now. Or like, oh, actually, I got a toddler that's learning how to sleep through the night without wetting the bed. So like, that's a whole thing right now that I'm trying to navigate. I don't do the small talk thing. I never have. I think that's probably why I hope I'm pretty good at being a podcast interviewer, because I genuinely want to know how people are. And I will tell you, this is the more successful someone is in the area that we perceive them to be a success, the more they're looking for people who actually want to know about who they are as a human being. So when you have the guts, when you sort of raise your hand and are willing to go first, I think that you instinctively are going to go to a deeper place, which is something that you're craving, faster. You'd be surprised.
On a surface level, I agree with this, but I feel like that's because I am somebody who is an open book. Like, I'm not a secretive person. I'm not mysterious. I always wished I could be, because I was like, oh, that's very alluring if you're mysterious. But no, first day you meet me, like, I'll tell you anything about myself. However, there are some people who have learned through their experience that not everybody is a safe person to trust with the deep things and to trust with the truth. And so I think it's a little bit hard to ask those people to just show up and dive in. Sometimes they will need a little bit of extra time to get to know you, to sense out kind of what kind of person you are, or if you're trustworthy, if they can feel secure and safe to open up with those hard things because they've been taught by other people, no, you can't. Like, your secrets are not safe with me, or your struggles, your hardships, they're not safe with me. And so I feel like that's just something to consider. Obviously, that's on an individual basis. That's not a blanket statement for everybody either way. But I just don't think you can be like, show up, go deep, and expect that to work for everybody.
Like, every time I'm, a barista's making my coffee, every single person that I walk up to, server, grocery circle, everybody, I always ask the same thing. The same thing that I ask Matthew McConaughey when I'm starting a podcast interview with him is the same thing that I ask the person that I'm ordering an espresso shot from, which is, how are you? And you would be surprised at how many strangers out in the world are just desperate for someone to care how they're doing. Be open to where you're going to meet that friend. Be willing to give it a few chances and connect over a shared hobby and go deep. Those are my pieces of advice for making more genuine friendships as an adult or a kid.
Decent.
Honestly. Okay, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. I hope that you got something out of today's episode. If you did, please subscribe to my channel wherever you are watching or listening to this. Subscribe so we can be friends and you can get a notification every single time we post a new episode. I will be back next week with more conversation, and until then, remember, I love you and I'm rooting for you.
I'm done. That was me asking Rachel if I love you is the only sign language that she knows, and if so, alright, fair enough. Anyway, that was the latest episode of Rach Talks. I thought there were some interesting things to talk about, and overall, there wasn't anything that was just like, oh my gosh, how dare she say it, but it is interesting to see, like I said, the way that she presents things as if who she was and like the things that she said in the past just never existed. And her coming on here and wanting to give off the air of being relatable while literally 3 weeks ago she's doing a podcast talking about how she doesn't want to be relatable, and that's why she got canceled because of a TikTok she made where she said, I don't want to be relatable, as opposed to, what is it about me that makes you think I want to be relatable? Again, I'm so sorry. I've been watching a lot of Mike's Mike, and the energy is just, it's up and down. It's unpredictable. It keeps you on your toes, and I thoroughly love it. But that is all I've got. Let me know what you thought of this episode of Rach Talks down below. And if you have any additional thoughts or anything you want to share, go ahead and share that in the comment section. And while you're doing that, if you would consider liking this video or subscribing to my channel, that would be incredible. And if you are subscribed already, thank you so much. I am so appreciative of you, and I love being able to just sit here, hang out with you, and talk about whatever. Thank you so much for watching. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.